Greetings, welcome. This is the Public Works meeting on November 21st. Dan Gookin and myself are here. Kiki is on vacation, I believe, or cooking turkey. First up on our agenda, a request for approval for a consult services agreement with JUB Engineers. Terry Pickle from the Water Department. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to come before you this afternoon to bring our consultant agreement forward with JUB Engineers for the 2022 Water Comprehensive Plan update. If you recall, council meeting before last, I brought before you a request for a resolution to approve a $103,000 planning grant application. This is part of this packet here, so that half of this contract would be paid for under that grant scenario. So this is the other half. They have to get together for DEQ to be able to approve the grant. So I wanted to bring this before you today. I've already talked to the consultant. We have a draft agreement put together for council review. The current plan was adopted back in 2012 by City Council, and it identified existing facilities and what would be needed in the future. At the time in 2012, we had 9 operating wells with a capacity of 38 million gallons. We had acquired about 52.4 cubic feet per second in groundwater rights for those existing wells, and we had an existing 26 cubic feet per second of surface water rights for the lake. At that time, we had just gone into the water rights adjudication process. We had 6 active booster stations. We had 8 water storage facilities with a capacity of approximately 8 million gallons of storage. At that time, we had about 17,562 customer services in the ground. We had 296 miles of pipeline that we actively maintain, and we had experienced a peak day at that time of 32.4 million gallons per day. So moving forward, projects that we have completed between 2012 and 2022, we've added 2 new wells with a capacity of an additional 11.5 million gallons a day. So we now have the capacity for 49 million gallons a day. That brings us to 11 wells. We've added 22 miles of pipeline. We've added a new booster station. We've added an additional 2,495 customer services to the system. So that brings us up to a little over 20,000 customer services. We've added 4 new transmission mains. We've acquired an additional 28.6 in CFS in groundwater rights and an additional 3.38 in surface water rights for the river. But through the adjudication process, they took away 12.6 CFS of the surface water rights for the lake because when Idaho Water operated that system, they did not keep accurate records, so they didn't really have a total to justify beneficial use. They could justify about 13.04 CFS. So we lost a little bit there, but we still kept about half of it. So projects that are currently in progress, we're looking at another well site off the end of Nez Perce. We'll need to acquire an additional 9 CFS in the groundwater rights. We're looking at 5 of those to come from the developer of their existing irrigation rights, and then we'll have to request a new 4 CFS. We're in a process to replace the lower Blackwell booster station, which is undersized and failing. We've got to put in 1.5 mile of transmission main on Thomas Lane at Canfield for the new tank out there. We're hoping to complete our Centennial Trail transmission main. And to date, we have experienced a peak day demand of 42.66 MGD. So that's another 10 MGD over what it was 10 years ago. So a new update will identify future system improvement projects for sources. If you need additional sources, we'll be looking at modeling the entire system to see what improvements have accomplished and if there are any additional deficiencies. And if with the increased density, they'll also look at infill, which was not looked at in the prior plan. So density has increased there in the interior of the city, so they'll take a look at that, see if that requires additional sources. We'll need to replace some of our existing storage and probably upsize a few of those. We'll look at whether there's any more transmission mains required. Of course, the distribution system will expand with future development. Service rates will increase, and then water rates, we'll take a look at that after the plan is completed. So with that, the previous plan cost about $166,000. So we're looking at contract with JUB Consultants for a total of $207,700. and we recommend approval of that.
Thank you. Very thorough. A lot of growth in 10 years,
has
right?
been, yeah.
Wow. Dan, any questions?
No, not really, just a comment. It seems like we've also had a lot of parkland improvements. So in 2012, we didn't know we were going to buy the Atlas site.
Right.
So it seems like that also, because aren't we still the biggest user of water?
Correct. Parks Department is the biggest consumer, school district right behind them, so.
Okay.
But I want to say that the Parks Department has done their very best to do their part for conservation, up to 33%, what they've knocked off the first year we talked about this. So I'm very impressed and very pleased with what they do.
Very good, thank you.
I have a couple of questions on water rights.
Yep.
So do you kind of bank water rights until you need to poke another well? Is that how it works, or?
Well, we have to have enough water rights to meet our peak hour demand, which we previously did not have in the existing plan. And we have worked with development to acquire those additional rights. So we do have sufficient rights today to cover our peak hour demand. And then, of course, with any new well, you have to acquire new water rights for that, so.
So water rights come from the property owner when they want to develop?
Correct.
They kind of give them to
Correct.
you,
Or we request those to be assigned from Idaho Department of Water Resources.
Gotcha. Can you talk a little about the DEQ, what they do, and what they had some relationship here? They took some things away, you said? Was that the lake water rights?
Yeah, well, that wasn't DEQ, that was IDWR, our Department of Water Resources, and the water rights adjudication process. You have to have proof of beneficial use, and the lack of record keeping from Idaho Water, they weren't able to prove that all 26 CFS were being utilized. They were able to only prove that 13.04 was utilized, so in that process, we lost those water rights, even though we had acquired those through proper channels. But that's part of the adjudication process, so.
And that's lake water,
That's lake water rights.
which basically you use for irrigation and things
Yeah,
like
we
that.
use it for some of the parks for irrigation, and for the new park out on Atlas, for McEwen Park, and I think, what was the other one, City Park?
That's it. And City Park and
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, so. mhm.
All right. All right, thank you. Get on,
Yeah, do what?
do it.
Oh, make
Oh.
a motion. So I'll make a motion to recommend council approve the consultant services agreement with JUB Engineers for 2022 Water Comprehensive Plan Update in the amount of $207,700.
Second that. Consent calendar work? As much as I'd love everybody to hear this stuff.
Yeah, it's already budgeted, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
we're cool.
All right. Put it on the consent, please. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Bill,
Speaking
you're
of
up
parks.
next. 3-year lease agreement with Taste of Coeur d'Alene. I don't think I realized that.
Good afternoon, Councilman. Yes, this has been an ongoing event. It's one of my staff's favorite event in City Park. We worked with the folks before the Festivals Committee, so this has been around here for about 30 years almost, and the Quantians have had it for about 13. And they're one of our, they're all good sponsors, but we get along very well with them, and they pay all the fees, and they've done great things for the park. So it's a pretty simple contract. Like I said, this is the 13th year they've done it, and so this one has 3 years plus a renewable with 3 years after that.
All right. Any questions?
No.
So your crew likes it because it's beer? Your favorite is beer?
No, food.
Food, taste of Coeur d'Alene. Sorry.
Lots of taste of Coeur d'Alene there, so, yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't help it.
Yeah, one of the favorites, though, and the gentleman has no longer been doing it, I don't think his family keeps it up, but there was a guy that used to have Italian sausage sandwiches with
Oh, yeah.
peppers and onions were always my favorite.
All right. I'll look for a motion, please.
So I move to recommend that council approve a 3-year lease agreement with an option to renew for 3 years for the Panhandle Kiwanis Club for the Taste of Coeur d'Alene.
And I'll second that. Consent's good?
Sure.
Make it so. Thank you. Well, let's talk about docks. Bill?
Well, the mooring docks are the ones that are near the Harbor House at the entrance to Tubbs Hill. with my previous director, Doug, we got a grant in 2000 from the Waterfront Improvement Grant, which what this is, WIF. And we did those at the time, and I think the grant was 150, and we added 50, so it was 200 then. They're old style docks, they're cedar float, and so they're all wood. They've seen better days. They've been damaged quite a bit in the windstorms we had in the last, and we've probably over the course of its lifetime dropped $75 but not $100,000 into repairs. The proposal here is to do like we did at the launch docks last year, which is a steel frame dock with poly float tubes underneath and a composite deck. They're really durable, and they don't, the one we have, the oldest one we have is along the seawall, and it looks as good as it is the day we put it in 2005. Bull rails get busted now and again, but overall they've really performed very well. So we're asking your approval to seek this grant. Submission is the 20-something of January, the second or third week in January. We will do a presentation to the County Waterways Board, I think it's December 6th. So our ask from the state is the 350, as you see on the staff report. We have $150 that's set aside. I've been building that fund up for a while in anticipation of this, so the money for the match is already in the waterfront improvement account.
Any questions?
Nope.
So is it going to be the same configuration that it is?
Yeah, I think so, and I'm hoping to reuse many of those piles because those are very expensive, so their configuration will be the same for that reason. And if we have to replace a couple, then we're okay, but they're several thousand apiece.
And that's not going to impact the fire station?
No, we'll make the reconnection with the firehouse there.
And you're happy with that new design, the metal and plastic floats? What do you call them, plastic floats?
Yeah, it's been very durable. I mean, so, the only thing that's happened to the ones here at the launch dock, someone lost control of their vessel and landed on top, and, it was repaired, so it's fine. But yeah, they're pretty durable.
That's neat. All right. Looking for a motion.
So I would move that we recommend the council approve a request to submit a grant application to the IDPR Waterfront Improvement Fund for the purchase of new boat docks for the 3rd Street Mooring Docks Replacement Project.
And I will second that.
Thank you.
I'm thinking that's a consent calendar.
Yeah, this is, Bill, so this is just, when the grant's awarded, you come back, right?
Yeah, so what we'll do, the way it works is, when we get awarded, we'll come back to you guys if you want me to. And then once they award it, it's in the spring, and then they give us the nod that we have it, but we're not allowed, I think, to begin building like in September. So it would be the next fall when we would begin the project.
Well, I'm good on consent, then. Thank you.
Well, with hearing nothing else, we're going to adjourn this thing. Thank you for everybody. Merry,
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. You betcha. Thanks. Consent on that one.